in what appears to be the penultimate episode of the season, things flip a bit. Rather than us being shown Sunday insecure and needing reassurance, it's Ellis who needs that, as Sunday has her big day with Tanya Holland and having an interview with her. So, first topic is just Ellis trying to prepare himself for all that's to come. He meets Toy for the first time, and Toy, they enjoy Ellis's look, they understand the vibe, but at the same time, they need Ellis to step it up. He comes in with this kind of basic suit, basic shirt and everything, and Toy, who is acting as Sunday's publicist for the whole event, they make sure to have Ellis step it up. And while Ellis is pushed to step it up fashion-wise, I don't fully remember or understand the situation, but Sunday and Ellis end up in like a group thing where they meet Ellis's cousin. And being that Ellis' cousin knows the situation with Sunday in terms of Ellis cheating and all that, he's just trying to make sure. Which leads to the second topic, which kind of revisits some of the old issues that Sunday and Ellis have, but keep kicking down the road. And that's pretty much just Sunday and how she feels about Ellis being a plumber. She's being interviewed by someone, not Tanya, but another person, and when it comes to speaking about Ellis, who's in the room, and those two are exchanging smiles, she calls him an entrepreneur, says in the construction industry, and pretty much embellishes what he does, at least from Ellis's point of view, a lot of embellishments, because he just sees himself as a plumber. Which leads to the question when it comes to Sunday and Ellis, as he mentioned before when he introduced the house that he's rebuilding, is she embarrassed by what he does? To which her answer is no. But it seems all those old issues about Ellis, perhaps growing up poor, it's not really clear, but at least it is very much so that Sunday grew up rich, and as shown by this episode, she usually sticks around a lot of people with wealth. It makes Ellis feel a little bit out of place, and this whole Sunday trying to bake up into an entrepreneur over just a plumber, you can see it's an old issue rearing its head, and sooner or later it has to be addressed. And not just addressed in a quick pat on the back, pat on the head, calm down, it's not that serious, but truly digging into the wound type of thing. Speaking of wounds, during the party, which has Sunday being celebrated and is a prelude to the Tanya interview being on TV, Hosea shows up. He brings a gentleman named Shane who's a major investor, especially in freestyle restaurants. And Hosea kind of shows his ass a little bit. He makes it very clear that he's the one who invested in Sunday. He makes it very clear that Ellis pretty much took his place, and he's a bit testy about it. The animosity is definitely not subtle. And because of that, Ellis is trying to figure out, once again, what is his place, and on top of that, what is Hosea's place in Sunday's life. Because when it comes to Ellis, yes, thus far he has made Sunday have to make probably mental and emotional compromises and build up a tolerance when it comes to Anastasia, Danny, Bree, well, not Bree, because everybody loves Bree, but also Everly's antics. So this whole thing with Hosea, it's a lot. But in his defense, Sunday finds Hosea a lot too, hence why she picked Ellis. For in Sunday's mind, yes, Hosea is a wonderful man. He is part of her network in a way that is unexpected, that makes him so that he can't be expendable, because bringing someone like Shane around who wants to invest in a second location, never mind a second location in Brooklyn, which for damn sure is going to be expensive, you can't get rid of somebody like that easily. Never mind they used to have a thing, but as much as Ellis may call Hosea Sunday's ex, last time I checked, those two just messed around on some friends with benefits type of thing, but if he wants to give Hosea an upgraded title and Sunday agrees to it, that's their business. Either way, right now, Ellis is in his feelings, and Sunday has to do what we've often seen Ellis do for her. She makes it clear that it's just a business relationship, it's not anything personal. Like, for example, he doesn't know what's going on when it comes to MV and all the issues she's dealing with that. And she tries to really convey the idea that while she loves Mindu, Toy, and all of them, they're part of her, not just part of her Atlanta life, but definitely part of her business life. And it seems they're not as privy to all that's going on in her personal life as Ellis is. Again, he knows about MV, he knows about all the stress she's under, and she tries to see him as a comfort place. And adding on as she says I love you to him, it seems to at least quell things down for now, but as we've seen multiple times throughout this season, usually there's some type of romantic gesture done, and while that does calm things down for now, usually by the next episode there's something new coming up, usually triggered by something that's been, sweet talked away. And then once again, there's not an argument, but there's definitely some type of insecurity that rears its head to the point where you're kind of like, neither one of you are really good at confrontation, are you? So the first highlight is perhaps a highlight that's pretty much for the whole season. It's just the soundtrack. From someone who enjoys R&B, just taking note of how this show takes the best stuff from the last 5 years, and some of it is big time names like her, but also some lesser names. It really pushes you to want to go to Spotify or else do that what's it called, like Shazam some of the songs on the show, just so that you could have them for later on for your own playlist. The next highlight for us is just understanding the process of how Sunday went from culinary school to owning a major vegan restaurant. Thus far, when it comes to Ellis, we've gotten all of his story. He was in a bad place, his grandfather taught him the ropes, he went to technical school to get certified, and now he owns his own business. With Sunday, there was a lot of gaps. We assumed her grandmother was an inspiration. We know she went to culinary school, and of course, somehow down the road ended up with a restaurant, which apparently Toy was one of the first managers. Then following them was Mindu. Well, Mindu was a right hand, assistant manager, but you get what I'm trying to say. But in this episode, we find out that an additional reason for this whole culinary journey is because Sunday's mom, who I don't know if we learned the name of yet, she had heart disease, which is probably what killed her, and that is why Sunday got into veganism, and also when talking to Ellis's cousin, we found out she went from having a food truck, then got in the restaurant, of course thanks to Hosea's investment. And with this information, it further helps to develop who she is as a character, where she's come from, and I would even say it kind of allows you to kind of push back on the idea that she's spoiled and privileged, because working in a food truck is not a simple or easy job. Never mind finding someone like Jose is really willing to invest in that. And granted, Sunday's a beautiful woman and everything, and of course he probably, part of the reason he invested was because of that, but let's not discount her skills and abilities just because she's pretty. In my mind, trying to be a vegan soul food chef, while that's something that, of course, in the Northeast where I am, seems like a normal thing, down in the South, I feel like, especially because she's been doing this for years, she was someone who was definitely on the front lines when it came to bringing that to the mainstream, and you can't discount that. The next highlight is Ellis just being cool with being called a plumber. I feel like a lot of people, especially in this generation, millennials, I don't know if Gen Z are the same, the idea of I always have to escalate, get to the next goalpost and everything, bigger, better, is an unfortunate norm for our hustle culture. So Ellis being perfectly fine with just being called a plumber and not trying to upgrade the title or else even call himself an entrepreneur just because he's a business owner, I loved it. It's a change of pace that I am so glad for, and it's refreshing. So for the on the fence topic, the problem for me when it comes to Sunday and Ellis is their lack of confrontation, the lack of boundaries with exes, it's starting to make me less invested in a relationship, especially in the long term. Short term wise, they're cute as can be, but in terms of long term potential, it's kind of like, Ellis clearly has issues when it comes to Anastasia, boundaries, and being very reactive when it comes to Sunday's needs or her expectations. In this episode, we see Sunday's not that much better because at least Anastasia, while she doesn't really have boundaries when it comes to Ellis, she's not also making advances toward him in a way that makes it seem like she's still trying to get with him. At least in this episode, I know if you saw the episode previews for the finale, could be otherwise. But speaking specifically from this episode, not thinking about the previews for the next one, Anastasia might have been looking for the privileges of her ex-husband, but she wasn't trying to get physical or else try to claim her territory. Hosea, on the other hand, he makes it very clear that you got lucky that you snatched this woman from me. He makes it very clear that I'm the reason that she's as successful as she is. And Sunday, she knows how Hosea is. She sees this man in front of her talk smack, says nothing to him at all. While Ellis is just there like, why is this man trying me? In public, in front of my girlfriend, and yet she says nothing, and I'm expected to just take it on the chin just because I don't know. So all I can say is I like these two together. They're very cute, but increasingly I'm starting to wonder if not doing time jumps, not seeing them with other people, not having them get time to kind of grow without one another, especially because I don't really think either one of them are really in a position to be in a healthy and good relationship. I don't know. Like, I don't know if they should stay together because, yes, all couples have issues, and exes in life in general brings baggage, but I don't feel like either one of these two want to really unpack what they have, sort through it, and get rid of anything. They want to keep everything that got them to where they are and not really address why they're keeping these things. Instead, as soon as things get too uncomfortable for either one, they decide to start redirecting the conversation, and since they've known each other so long, they know what to say, what to do in order to change the topic, and at least for that moment, make it so that they don't have to deal with something that has long been uncomfortable, that has long been pushed to the back of their mind or pushed down the road so they don't have to deal with it. And as a viewer, I'm kind of getting tired of seeing that. Either have the confrontations with each other and your exes that are sorely needed, or else just recognize that all you're going to do is add on to this person's baggage, and it's not going to be a lesson learned to a certain degree, but it's just going to be weight that makes it harder for the next person, because that's really all that's coming out of this at this point. Overall, at this point of Cherish today, we're kind of growing tired of Sunday and Ellis avoiding the confrontations that are long overdue, and I get that they see each other as a reprieve from a lot of the other stuff going on in their life, but in their little hideaway, it seems they're avoiding all the cracks, all the bugs, all the other issues that may not just be the situation or the room that they're in, but the foundation to the relationship. And I don't know, maybe this is me comparing the first season to this one too much, but I'm kind of at the point where it's hard to not wish that between time jumps, seeing other people, and other options, that this show didn't take the safe route more often than not in order to keep these two together.